Every fortune begins with a decision, and every decision tells a story. Imagine this. Two young professionals graduate from the same university. They start their careers in the same city. They earn almost the same salary. They rent similar apartments. They even dream about the same future. A comfortable life, financial freedom, the ability to give their family everything they never had. At first, their lives look almost identical. But then, something begins to happen. 10 years later, one of them owns investments, a growing business, and the freedom to choose how they spend their time. The other still checks their bank account before every purchase, still waits for payday, still wonders why financial freedom always feels just out of reach. The question is, what changed? Was it intelligence? Luck? Education? Or was it something far more invisible? Every day, without realizing it, we make hundreds of decisions. Most of them feel too small to matter. A cup of coffee, a late-night online purchase, a book we decided not to buy. An hour spent learning a new skill, or an hour spent endlessly scrolling. Each decision feels ordinary, forgettable, harmless. But here's the strange part. Our future is rarely shaped by one dramatic decision. It's shaped by thousands of ordinary ones. Tiny choices, repeated over and over again until they quietly become the direction of our lives. Think about a plane taking off. If its direction changes by only a few degrees, the passengers won't notice. The view outside the window looks exactly the same. The flight feels exactly the same. But hours later, that tiny change can lead to an entirely different destination. Our financial lives often work the same way, not because of one massive mistake, but because of countless small decisions made without thinking about where they eventually lead. Here's something fascinating. Your brain was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors weren't deciding whether to invest in businesses, build wealth, or plan for retirement. They were trying to survive until tomorrow. So the human brain evolved to chase immediate rewards and avoid immediate discomfort. That instinct helped humanity survive. But in today's world, the same instinct often encourages us to choose what feels good now instead of what creates value later. And that's where the invisible battle begins. Imagine walking into a shopping mall. Bright lights, huge discount signs, limited time offers. Everything around you is carefully designed to answer one simple question. How do we convince someone to make a decision today? Because businesses understand something incredibly valuable. The battle for your wallet always begins with your attention. The longer they hold your attention, the greater the chance they'll influence your next decision. And whether we realize it or not, every decision carries a cost. Not just the money we spend, but the opportunities we leave behind. Have you ever noticed how buying something feels exciting before you own it? You imagine how happy you'll feel, how complete your life will become, how this one purchase will somehow make everything better. Then, a few days pass, the excitement fades, and almost without thinking, your attention moves to the next thing. Another phone, another watch, another pair of shoes, another upgrade. It's a cycle that quietly repeats itself over and over again. Psychologists have a name for this: hedonic adaptation. It simply means human beings quickly become used to improvements. What once felt extraordinary soon becomes normal. The new car eventually feels like just another car. The latest phone becomes yesterday's technology. The dream apartment turns into just another place to sleep. It's not because we're ungrateful. It's because that's how the human brain works. And if we don't understand that, we'll spend our lives chasing feelings that were never meant to last. Now imagine, every time your income increases, your lifestyle quietly follows. A better apartment, a more expensive car, more subscriptions, more dining out, more things to maintain. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. Earning more, but spending more, until your financial life feels exactly the same. From the outside, everything looks more successful. But behind the scenes, nothing has really changed. This is why two people can earn exactly the same salary and experience completely different futures. One asks, "What can I buy?" The other asks, "What can this money build?" It's a small difference, almost invisible. But over years, questions become decisions. Decisions become habits. And habits quietly shape the direction of a life. Think about planting a tree. The day you plant the seed, nothing remarkable happens. The next day, still nothing. A week later, almost nothing. If you judge the tree only by what you could see, you might believe it wasn't growing at all. But beneath the surface, something remarkable is happening. Roots are growing deeper, preparing for growth you can't see yet. The same is true for almost everything valuable. Learning a skill, building a business, saving consistently, improving your health, reading one chapter every night. None of these decisions feel life-changing on the day you make them. In fact, most of them feel almost boring. But time has a strange habit of rewarding consistency long after excitement disappears. Now, let's return to our two young professionals. Their lives didn't separate because one made one brilliant decision. Their lives separated because every ordinary week, one of them planted a few more seeds, while the other kept waiting for a forest without ever planting one. And that's the first secret most people never notice. Imagine it's 2009. Two friends each have $1,000. Neither of them knows what the future will look like. The first friend walks into a store and buys the latest technology. For a while, it feels exciting, new, premium. People notice it. The second friend makes a different decision. Instead of chasing today's excitement, they decide to own a tiny piece of tomorrow's growth. Not because they can predict the future, but because they believe some decisions become more valuable with time. Here's the interesting part. At that moment, neither decision looks extraordinary. Both people spend the same amount of money. Both walk away feeling satisfied. If you saw them that day, you wouldn't know which decision would matter more. Because the biggest financial decisions rarely look important the day they're made. Their true value is only revealed years later. This is called opportunity cost. Every time we choose one path, we quietly give up another. When you spend money, you're not only buying something, you're also giving up everything else that money could have become. Sometimes, the cost of a purchase isn't what's printed on the receipt. It's the future you never get to see. Think about learning a valuable skill. On the first day, nothing changes. No promotion, no clients, no applause. But 6 months later, that skill might help you solve bigger problems. A year later, it could open doors that didn't exist before. The reward wasn't immediate. It was delayed. And that's exactly why So many people give up too early because we naturally celebrate visible progress, while invisible progress often goes unnoticed. The world's most valuable companies were not built in a weekend. Their founders spent years improving products, making mistakes, starting over, growing little by little. From the outside, success often looks sudden. But when you look closer, you discover something different. Years of quiet progress, hidden behind one big headline. The same pattern appears in careers, in businesses, and often in personal finances. Maybe that's why we admire success, but underestimate consistency. We celebrate the harvest. We rarely notice the seasons of planting, the late nights, the patient decisions, the opportunities people chose instead of the distractions. Because consistency isn't exciting to watch until one day its results become impossible to ignore. Let's go back to the two young professionals we met at the beginning. When they graduated, nobody could tell them apart. They had similar dreams, similar opportunities, similar fears. If you would ask their friends who would become financially successful, no one could have answered. Because the future doesn't announce itself. It arrives one ordinary day at a time. One of them didn't become wealthy because they were lucky every day. They weren't. They made mistakes, missed opportunities, faced setbacks, questioned themselves, just like everyone else. But whenever life forced them to make a choice, they asked a different question. Not, what do I want right now? But what could this become tomorrow? That single shift didn't change one day. It changed thousands of days. The other person wasn't irresponsible, wasn't lazy, wasn't unintelligent. They simply lived the way most of us do, solving today's problems without realizing tomorrow was quietly taking shape. Because the future isn't built when everything is perfect. It's built in the ordinary moments, when no one is watching. Perhaps that's the greatest misunderstanding about wealth. People think it's created by one brilliant decision, one lucky investment, one perfect opportunity. But more often, it's created by protecting your attention, directing your time, and making one better decision again and again and again. Not perfectly, just consistently. Imagine your life 10 years from today. Not the house, not the car, not the number in your bank account. Imagine the person you've become, the skills you've built, the problems you know how to solve, the people who trust you, the freedom to choose how you spend your time. Because in the end, those things often create wealth long before wealth becomes visible. So perhaps the real question was never, how do people become rich? Maybe the better question is, what kind of decisions create a life where wealth has a chance to grow? Because every decision is a vote for the person you're becoming. One decision means very little. 1,000 decisions become your identity, and identity quietly shapes your future. One day, the two young professionals will look back. Neither of them will remember every purchase, every salary, or every ordinary Tuesday, but they will live with the results of the decisions they repeated for years. And maybe that's the part no one teaches us. Our future isn't decided in a single extraordinary moment. It's written one ordinary decision at a time. Every fortune begins with a decision, and every decision tells a story. The question is, what story are your decisions writing today?
Join Diginex for the next one.